Hello, and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today, I have Miss Betty Boo on, and I think we had our first call. It was 4 years ago, wasn't it? Like, it was a while back.
Yeah, it was about.
And the best part about me highlighting the 4 years is going to be understood very soon when you actually hear just how much this lady has transformed, because, well, after a lot of resistance and hesitation at first, because any change is uncomfortable. Doing something against what you've known is uncomfortable. The fear of the what ifs. What if I get worse? What if this? What if that? Like, it does take a while for you to embrace something. But in that time, knowing that it is going to take a while, it's not like nothing happens and all of a sudden you're this Wonder Woman person. You change in the process. So here's Betty Boo. And before we chatted, I want to know, what were you doing back then? And yeah, just tell me more about what you were doing back then and what you thought was a problem before we had our back and forth.
Okay, so 2020, I decided I was going to join a gym and dived into the classes, fell in love with them, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. Loved it because I made a lot of good friends then. 6 months in, my body was not changing at all. I was like, what's going on? So, but I did chase the Garmin. I burnt 600 calories. Yay! So I never ate back the calories that I burnt. I never looked at that, but I was like, I should be in a deficit. But I was going off doing that with 4 hours of sleep. So I never changed little habits and I think that was the biggest downfall, not focusing on sleep. That's how I found you, a podcast about sleep. So I was like, maybe she's onto something.
I do remember that. And I recall you saying that you didn't really have all that much energy and you were training 6 days a week and trying to get in something on the 7th day because you felt like you always had to be going, but if I don't burn this many calories, should I still do this? Should I still eat this? And then I asked you, well, what are you doing outside of the gym? Are you going anywhere with the kids? Because you mentioned that you are exhausted most of the time. I'm like, so you're not taking the kids out, you're not walking them around, you don't get your steps in. And this is, I think, where a lot of women find themselves, which I want to know what you thought was holding you back. I guess now you see the same thing in a lot of other people where they're burning themselves out in the gym. They think the more the better, that if they're not seeing results, then if they take a step back, how am I going to get more results by taking a step back? It doesn't make logical sense, does it? But outside of all of that, you're drained, you're exhausted, you're not recovering. Your training wasn't even suited to build muscle or to change your physique. It was just burning you out. It was exhausting you, but it felt effective, didn't it? That's why I want to know, like, what made you believe that what you were doing was the thing to do? Like, why did you think it was going to get you the results? Is it because it felt hard, or because it felt hard, it draining? Like, what were you?
Definitely felt hard. Obviously the calories burnt. I was like, yes, that's got to be doing something. But then I was also, I was at the gym for 2 hours sometimes, and that included like over 2 hours sometimes, even 40 minutes of elliptical, just going as hard as I could. And I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way, because like I said, I was exhausted for the rest of the day. I work from home. I was very sedentary for the rest of the day. So that hour or two at the gym counteracted everything that I was doing, because I was like burnt out by then. By 9 a.m., I was so tired that I barely moved, So yeah, it was just burning yourself out, because I couldn't keep that up. 7 days a week of training, you're not recovering at all. When I think about it now, I'm like, there is no way I could do more than 4 days right now. Like, just too much.
No, the moment that you actually tagged me in the post saying, you won't believe what I'm about to say, but I'm about to go from 5 days to 4 days, and I actually don't think I can do the 5th day anymore, because it took a while. It took a long while to get you to be okay with 5 days. To go from 7 to 5 days was like, like we need to just put in a lot more into your training. And then you fell in love with deadlifting. The first time I saw you attempting that deadlift, and then the grind that you had on that last rep, like how long? It was like 8 seconds of a grind. I'm like, I've never seen someone actually put through a grind on that last rep. And like, it was amazing. And I feel like once people actually learn how to train, I had this with another client actually the other week. She's like, I think you need to change my Friday workout to Saturday, because I'm just not recovered doing the 5 days in a row. And I'm like, hallelujah, I can finally put you into 4 days. Because
Yeah.
if you're training hard enough and
I know.
intense enough, and the funny thing is that you might think that you're training slower or doing less, but how much has your physique changed since you did what you did with a lot more effort versus just doing more of it?
See, my husband keeps laughing at me because in November I changed gyms and I've gone to a lot quieter gym, and I've only got one or two friends at the moment in that gym. So he's like, oh, you must be doing something right because your body has changed so much since you've gone to Anytime, because maybe you're not working your mouth out that much. I'm like, no, I'm actually training way less, training like hard. Even today I caught myself out. I was doing like incline presses. I was like, oh, let me try the heavier weight. I couldn't do the heavier weight, but then I made sure that I did a couple more reps that were, like you say, push hard. They need to be super slow. They can't look the same as the first 5. Your last 2 need to look like you're pulling those faces. So,
Yeah.
and they're not pretty,
And
but who cares?
I actually love that the whole way of approaching your sets where you try it out for the last set, like just give it a go to see if you can actually do it, because you never know unless you try. And then if you can't, then that's just feedback for the next time you do it. Okay, well, I'll just go for more reps and more reps until I know that I can get that. But going back to where you started, this is where I have been saying, for those of you listening, that 1,500 calories is not your maintenance. Betty thought that 1,700 was a maintenance. And when we had our chat, I'm like, well, considering you're burning yourself out, if you're someone who actually cares about changing your physique, you will not be maintaining on anything under 1,600 calories, because you will be training your butt off and you will be walking. But the training that Betty was doing, I'm like, well, there's no way that 1,700 calories is something that can sustain that. And this is where you burn yourself out, because if you're not fueling that, if you're not recovering that, what's going to happen? Your body is going to be craving way more food. And what was it doing? She was hardly eating until, tell me more about that.
Until you just, like, I'd be amazing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday would come, I'd be like, okay, I'm getting hungrier every day. Like you go to bed hungry and you're like, okay, this is not, and so Friday you end up getting social. There's binge eating. I had, really bad binge eating, and that would put me in a surplus. So that's why I wasn't getting to my goal.
But see, you weren't in a surplus in your mind because you weren't accounting for that. It's like you were a blind eye to it. So I want you to put this into your words, like your experience. I want you to go really deep into this, because this is where I think a lot of people can relate to them truly believing that anything over 1,600 calories or 1,700 calories, they just gain weight. Whereas if what they were doing right now, trying to get by on 1,600 calories while trying to build a physique, was working, why are we having this conversation, sort of thing?
Yeah. Oh, look, you definitely believe that you're eating 1,600. You don't, I don't know. I guess I was, blind to the fact that I was overeating at times, and you don't track those calories ever. You just kind of go, let's track the good days. Let's focus on the good days. But that's not every day. Every day is not going to be amazing. We're all human in the end. So I just, I don't know, it wasn't good. Just always living and breathing, looking at what your next meal is going to be. That's not life. That's what I was doing. I was always just focused on, what's my next meal going to be? Okay, let's do that. And then eventually your willpower is no longer there. You are going to overeat.
Yeah, it's true. And if you don't trust yourself that you can stick to a plan, do you feel like that's kind of what made it really hard for you to change? What did you think you were doing wrong at first? Like, why did you reach out? Was it the sleep? What was the reason you reached out to me?
The fact that I wasn't seeing results. I was like, I'm doing everything right. Like, this can't be not working. Why is it not working? But I wasn't doing anything right. Like, I was, overdoing it way too much. And yeah, food wasn't on point. Like, I never focused on protein. When I first started tracking food, I would message friends going, it's unbelievably hard to get 120 grams of protein, right? Because I'd be like, I thought chicken breast was 100 calories, 100 grams of protein. That's what I used to think. I'm like, I'm eating all this chicken. It's pure protein. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I actually, was that you that told me that? I think I just had, I remember this moment because I've only ever heard 2 people tell me this. I don't know whether you told me, but when I said, how much protein do you get in and what does it look like? I can't remember if it was you, but it was like, I get in 160 grams of protein. I have 100 grams of chicken and then 60 grams of something else.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay. Someone's, yeah, it's like, no, there's like 100 grams is this. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've been doing this now for over, I think, well, I'm going into 10 and a half years of coaching. So
Yeah, wow.
I don't really remember where I first started. Like, I started coaching before I really got into it myself, because I like learned this stuff in uni, and then I got into PT, and then that's when I started really implementing more of my own shit and training like I meant it. So I don't really remember where I was at first, because I actually started off really well. Like, I didn't have any real issues when I started. I wanted to gain weight and I wanted to gain muscles, so I chased the scale up. It wasn't until I got walked up into bodybuilding that all of my issues started to come out, and then I started to do the stupidest shit ever. So I don't really remember what it was like back then. So I want you to try to get me to understand, in your words, in your experience, what you mean by everything right. Why do you believe so intently that you are doing everything right? Because what I've come to see is we don't even know we're in a box until someone makes us see that box. But the thing is, we don't even question whether there is a box around us. So we believe everything is inherently true, and then we try to seek out information to confirm our bias. So what is it that made that switch? But before you made that switch, why? Like, it's like, I'm doing everything right. I feel like I'm working. Like, what's going on? Like, what was going on in your head? What were you hoping to get out of me?
I thought if I was working out, I was doing everything right. Like, I didn't think anything else had to align with that. I literally thought that I could just go to the gym and have that physique. That's what I used to think, and just eat very little. But that was not serving me, because you don't sleep well when you're not eating enough. You're moody as. I was so moody. Like, my kid actually said to me, "You were really moody pre-gym." And I'm like, what? That killed me, because I was like, I don't want him to remember that. And now, like, my whole family is benefiting from me being this person now. They all can see the changes. Like, I remember my husband actually said, this was 2 years ago. He said, look, I think you're a bit too committed. I was like, nah, whatever, but it was true. Like, when you're spending, I trained with two friends once, leg day. I was gone for 3 hours. And then I was like, fuck, that is a lot. That is too much time out of my family. Like, that was on a Saturday when my kids were at home. I knew they were home with him, but why? I don't need to train that long. I didn't have to be there for that long. So yeah, but I used to think more is better, but it's not.
So the food stuff didn't even register with you, what you were doing with your food. That didn't even register. That could be an issue. It was just, well, I'm burning myself. Well, I'm doing all that I can. I'm exhausted half the day. So this has to be working. I'm putting in so much effort.
Yeah. I used to, everything was just, and that's how I grew up, like, with the mentality of, if you want to, like, it was always about weight loss, right? And I'd go for big 10K walks, and if I didn't see results 2 months in, without focusing on diet at all, I never ever thought about that. But it's all, you have to, you can't, like, I love what you say about eat the rainbow, make sure your food's colourful so it's not boring. So that's what I like. Whenever I make something that looks pretty, I always think of you going, it's a rainbow. Like, eating well doesn't have to be boring.
Is that what were your beliefs around eating well and being healthy before our first phone call?
That I had to eat super clean. Like, I had to really restrict, make sure that my plate, like, there was nothing fun. There was no carbs or anything like that. I would go really, really low carbs, very small piece of chicken, things like that. Whereas now,
having the kids in the house, that would have been really difficult for you to manage.
Yeah, look, I don't think they thought twice about it, because that was just a norm, which now, like, my son actually will say to me, are you calorie counting again? And I'm like, I'm just monitoring how much I consume. Like, we're going on a holiday in a month. I want to go on that holiday, and you're going to be shocked. I'm actually going to wear a two-piece, and that's a first for me. I know. Right?
Wearing actual exposing clothes in the gym was a first for you.
Oh,
and now a two-piece.
Yeah.
Can I just say, this is probably one of my favorite transformations, and this is why I don't give a shit about progress photos. And I think you actually said that to me before. I'm like, I know that you prefer gym selfies, so I'm going to show, like, that's when you showed me the flex between your two different biceps a while ago. I'm like, this is what I want. Like, gym selfies show the difference. And then you showed me a difference. I don't know how I remember this, but you sent me two lap pull down variations. One of you doing your lap pull down before, and then you're back, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm having a back now. I'm like, this is what happens.
I've got back muscles, right? I'm just like, because you don't see your back unless you get somebody to take a photo, or unless you're in the bathroom mirrors, and that's a bit awkward sometimes. If people walk past, I don't want them to go, but I used to not want them to go, and what the fuck is she doing? Now I'm just like, stay in your, this is my moment. I don't care about what you're thinking. I'm getting this photo. If I feel good.
That part just there, people don't realize the confidence that owning your path has, and knowing that you are doing the right things, because you don't have that confidence if you're just burning yourself out and always exhausted. You don't even have the energy to have confidence. So what you mentioned, you also don't sleep well and you were moody. What else was it before? Like, what were the costs of not changing? Because I think a lot of people don't actually understand how much this infiltrates their life, but you are someone who's very aware. And I know that it's part of our WOG culture to have like this introspection, because we're so used to people questioning us all the time, so we end up questioning ourselves all the time, which I actually feel like that's why we're a little bit more aware of ourselves. I don't know whether it's just that I'm kind of similar to you, and my parents, or you used to do the same to me, and I know that yours kind of are in the same thing. That. What else?
Oh, look, if I hadn't changed, like I think back to when I first started, 44, and I'm almost 48 now. Makes me sad when I look at the old life I lived. It makes me really sad that I didn't, like I did beat myself up for a very long time going, why didn't you start sooner? Why didn't you start in your 30s? But I can't keep doing that. Like I do have my moments where I go, Betty, you should have started ages ago, but you didn't. I can't reverse time. So be at peace with that, But if I didn't get to where I am now, like my life was not, I wasn't excited. I never liked shopping. My kids noticed that, like even my husband would show me a photo and he's like, look at the difference. And I'm like, nah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that big. And he goes, you're hiding behind all three kids. That's how confident you were. You know what I mean? And I did, like I was hiding always behind my children. Now I'm like, arm on the hip and bicep photos. I think my little girl always does like a bicep flex with me, and she's like, I want muscles like you, mummy. And I was like, that was like, I remember one time when she said she wasn't eating her zucchini and the skin, just air fried pieces of zucchini, and she was eating around the skin. I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, okay, that's the best part. And she was like, nah, I don't like it. And I'm like, it makes you stronger. It'll make you grow taller. I said, it would make you grow taller. And she's like, and stronger. And I was like, does she see me as strong? Because that was mind blowing. Because you still sometimes I don't believe the life I'm living is my life I'm living. Like, I just find it, I don't know. I just go, but this is what I just do now. This is just me now. But to tell Betty, or 10 years ago, there's no way she would have believed it.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on, because I feel like what you said is so important, because I feel like there are a lot of people who feel like it's too late now. They already wasted all the time, so they need to hurry up and catch up. And I feel like, because I feel like if people can relate this to other things, it can be like money-wise with investing. It's like, well, I already spent all this money, now I need to make up for it all and cut back on all spending. So then you cut back on things that actually allow you to live a fuller life. So it's like, at the moment, for example, what is it? Like, I spend about $1,300 a month on both my coaches, because it ends up being like $150 a week for both of them. So 200-ish, and then plus the exchange, because they're both from the UK. But it's like, as much as there could be a lot going on, I will never sacrifice my coaches, because I know as a fact that I will not have the sanity that to allow me to be the best I can be for my clients. And that's the same with you as a parent. And we are so worried about, as mums, we're worried about being selfish for putting ourselves first, for investing into ourselves, for putting money onto a coach, onto a program, because, well, it could be going into saving for them, giving to them, being around them. But there was nothing more selfish than, this is going off what you said, there's nothing more selfish to me. Like, if I was looking at my parents' photos and realizing, hey, I don't actually have that many photos of me and my mom. I don't have many amazing memories of the most energized mom there is there, because she always sacrificed her health. She was always burnt out. She was always running off fumes, and she used to react more than she used to actually be there for me. And all like that is what's selfish. You don't realize it until it's too late that you rubbed off the worst habits on your kids. And that flip, the fact that you actually flipped it. Now look at the role model you're being. They're wanting to be strong. They're eating their greens. They're loving the fact that you have the energy to do their braids now. By the way, you owe me braids, but yeah.
And come to Sydney. Come and meet me at the
there.
train station.
What, you were in Melbourne before?
I was for a few years, yeah, but like that was 12 years ago now.
See, I
had my
Sydney.
in Melbourne. You're in Sydney, right?
No, I moved from Sydney.
What?
I hated Sydney. I used to live in Parramatta. It's a hole. Where are you? Where are you? That's cold. It's like warm here. But I did.
Where are you now?
I'm at the Gold Coast.
I remember you saying that you wanted to live there, and I'm like, Ruby, you're too far. Well, when I come to Queensland,
we'll do a session, a deadlift session for sure.
Oh my God, that would be a dream.
We'll have to. Hopefully by the time you come up here, I'm back at my 170 kilos because that's my goal. Hey, we got you triple digits now, haven't we?
Yes, I know. And even that, though, I want to touch on that because I had it in my head. I want to deadlift 100 kilos by the end of the year. And I did it. I did 100 kilos by the end of 2023 on the actual last day of the year. In true, like when I look at that deadlift, I'm like, I'm shocked that I didn't break my back because it wasn't, the form was crap. Now that I look at my deadlift now when I'm lifting 100 kilos, I'm like, okay, that's the way it should have looked, you know? So I want to say, don't rush, like, especially when you're lifting triple digits, it's going to take time. Like, that's what, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that you're not, I remember you saying to me once, Betty, add the 1.25 kilos. Why are you adding 10 kilos on each side? I'm like, because my, you know, I was just like in my head, I'm like, because I can do it. And then I remember messaging you going, hey, I added 3 kilos, and oh my God, 3 kilos is so heavy.
I remember saying, so I don't know, but you know Jody, because Jody always posts, but Jody always used to up her weights by either 10 kilos or whenever she was doing like deadlifts, she would put on either the 5 kilos, the 10 kilos, or the 20 kilos. And like, you do realize that leg presses go up by less than 20 kilos. Like you can put a tiny 1.25 kilo plate on one side. And then like, it's that ego that gets in our head where we're always trying to chase a logbook progress. And I know that you wanted to talk about the fact that it takes time. And I feel like this kind of intertwines really well because this is why my coaching has been, and you know that it has always been so centered on getting you living your life and getting you focused on getting stronger and out of the gym and out of the kitchen so you can live a full life. Because once you start to have that stronger athlete mindset, everyone's an athlete if you have a body that wants to look well trained. It's just that you're not an elite sports athlete. You're an athlete in your own right. So when you're actually training for that, you realize that progress is something you have to earn. You have to pay your rent every day, and it doesn't always come by. It's up and down. And that's the same with any weight loss journey as well. Like your whole body transformation. Because it's going to take time. Lifts are going to take time. You can't just keep going there in one go. Like I had to get my deadlifts pulled back because I started to fatigue because I wasn't fueling properly because I had so much going on in my life for like the last 2 weeks, and now I'm fueling properly again. But now I'm able to start pushing my deadlifts again, but then he's going to pull them back. And instead of doing like, I want you to tell your version of this with the food, but now he's pulling it back to do more reps very soon, but less weight so that I can build myself back up to working up towards my 3 and my 2 and my 1 again. But we don't test rep maxes when it comes to deadlifts. It's just getting stronger and stronger up until the end of the cycle and then building it up again. I'm not going straight to 170 from here or straight to 180 from here. I have to do the background work. And this is the same with like your progress with your physique. But when you came to me, hardly eating anything, believing you were doing everything right, the thought of eating more food, what was going through your mind? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle with the mindset of, I need to commit to not dieting for a while because I told you that we need to stop focusing on fat loss. So I want to know what went through your mind and where the hesitations were. What would you tell anyone else who's in that position? So I just want to start off with that, and then I'm going to guide you through the process. But just the beginning, what would you tell someone that was where you were, and what was the hesitation to get out of the diet mindset? Don't
be scared to do it. Like initially, yes, the scale might rise because you've got a lot more food volume in your stomach, but eventually that'll go back to normal. You will feel a lot better. I was so scared about gaining more weight because I was in the 90s back then. You know, I don't know if I should have said a number. Sorry if that's not okay.
No, it is. It is. I want
Yeah.
you to be, I reckon it will help because she's not talking about pounds, by the way. She's talking about kilos. So about
Yeah, no,
185, 185
Yeah.
pounds. I
Yeah.
was actually 90 pounds to start with.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, no. I did chase a certain scale number for a long time, but I didn't actually, I got there. Oh yeah, I'm beyond that now.
Yeah, remember I told you that to let go of the
Yeah.
scale. What I want to know what went through your mind. I want to know where you were back then. Like what was the fear? Why did you find it? Like what went through your head when I told you we need to stop focusing on the diet phase to let go of the
Yeah.
scale? And I also asked you why this scale number, why we're using a scale.
Yeah, no, look, I was scared. I didn't want to eat more and train harder and rest more because that went against everything that I learned as a young girl. Like everything was, you know, you got to do more and more and more, eat less and you'll get smaller. But it turns like it doesn't work that way. Your body needs, like, you can't live off 1,400 calories. Like a toddler bloody eats more than that, really. Like my kids, I used to look at what my kids would eat and I'd like, I'm actually eating, you know, they're eating more than me. Why aren't they gaining weight? So I'd be looking at that going, okay, focus on your steps. And I hated steps. Like, I'll admit it, like steps were so tedious to me, but you'd be like, nah, you need 10,000. It was annoying, Ruby, but they do get your energy expenditure up. So it does work. Steps are so important.
I
And it
want
doesn't
to
have to
actually
be
know
huge.
this one because a lot of people find this tedious. How did you make it
course.
easier on yourself? And why is it now? Like, I'm not even telling you to get steps anymore, but you're slaying your steps. What
Yeah.
changed for you and what has made it so much easier for you to do it? Because I feel like the reason it was so tedious is because you never prioritized yourself, number one, but also you never really had the energy for it. But
No.
when you start demanding more energy from yourself, you're zipping around like a freaking lunatic at the moment. Like you're full of energy compared to back then.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, well, I had to make it work with my job and with my family. I would 10-minute walks. Even if I had 10 minutes, like if I had to leave from the gym, say I had till 7:30. Back then I didn't even have till 7:30. I had to be starting work at 7:30. So I was going to the gym at stupid o'clock, getting up at 4:15. So that in its own, you're going to be tired. I can't even imagine doing that now. Now is 5 a.m. starts and I'm like, yep, that's enough. That's early enough because, I need to get my 7 hours of sleep. But so I'd do like if I had from 7:15 till 7:30, I'd be like, yep, okay, just get 10 minutes. That's enough. That would get the ball rolling. Walking around in the gym between sets as well, that gets at least 2,000 steps. So I started doing that, even when I'd go to a playground with the kids that I work with, I would walk around instead of just sitting. Like I would just sit and start paperwork or scrolling, sad to say, but I would just scroll and but I use my time wiser, and then I was like, okay, I got to 8,000 by the end of the afternoon. If I get to 8,000 by 2, the rest will come. I'm easily getting at least 12,000 these days without even a walk some days. So just
crazy?
little things do add up. Like people think that, or just going to the bathroom more often or whatever, you know what I mean? All those little things like cleaning or whatever, they're going to add up your steps. You don't have to go for an hour-long walk every day to get there. I don't know.
I love that. There's
Yeah.
something you just said that I want to highlight because you mentioned it before, and I'd like you to do the comparison thing because one of my other clients, I feel like will be someone that I reckon you can like relate to in this sense and bring this whole piece to it's the importance it deserves really. Because one thing is, especially because you mentioned going on the trip, and I'm sure you already went on one, Amy just went on a trip and she shared a photo of her eating ice cream with her dad. And that was like one of the big, like she had a few things that she had as fears. And I didn't have to like guide her on anything. I just had to remind her that we've already built all of these blocks. We've already created this identity. And it's like, well, look at the identity. You actually did the work to create the identity that you have now. And you mentioned this before as well, like this whole steps thing. It's just something that's a part of what you do without even needing a walk half the time. whereas that wasn't you before. And isn't it funny? My ADHD tangent, which I would love you to touch on this as well. It's why people would believe this, knowing what you know now. People would rather burn themselves out doing classes, HIIT, training 7 days a week versus cutting that down to 4 days and using those 3 hours in the gym to go on a freaking 3-hour walk instead, even though you don't need a 3-hour walk. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like you rather put the effort there versus doing a walk where you can do something more life-giving.
Yeah.
And now you're realizing that you don't even need to put that much effort into it because it's just what you do. You have more energy to do it. And you're an active person. You become this person.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard at first though. Like it wasn't easy. That's what I want to say as well. Like everyone thinks that, you know, those fit people have it easy, but I don't actually want to train every time I have a session, but then I actually know how good I'm going to feel afterwards. I know how good I'm going to feel when I've hit those protein targets and I've hit those macros and steps, you know, like everything like that. You know, when I was on that holiday, I barely used the lift. We went on a cruise. So it's easy to just sit and eat and drink and all of that, you know. And I got to my goal weight before the cruise, but even back then, I did it not the most healthiest way. I was on very minimal calories type of thing. Completely different to now. I'm dieting, you know, losing a kilo a week on 1900, which is huge for me. Huge. Like I can't believe that. I still can't believe that I'm losing weight on this much food.
I do want to talk about that. That's something that you just reminded me. I want to talk about the diet calories. So we're coming back to that one. But I feel like this, I know how I feel now doing these things. I don't want to go back. And you mentioned the fit people. And I think that I want to ask you about if this was a case in yours, because I've never actually asked you before because it never came up as an issue. I've never flagged it as an issue. But as an example, I live and breathe this. But do you think that I used to just look forward to it and all of that kind of stuff because it used to be at the start of my day. So it's like, I don't have to think about it. I just go to the gym and then come back. But now that I've shifted my schedule around so I can start doing more things in the beginning, because most of the ladies on my team are American. So it kind of lines up so much better if they need to book a call. But I also have UK girls. So I need to make sure I can book calls both at night and in the morning. So my session is like somewhere in the evening before all of that. But now it's going to be in the noon. But regardless, what I want to say is on Mondays, I work 16 hours a day, like for the whole day, pretty much doing check-ins. The last thing I want to do is get to the gym, but I don't think people realize how shitty it feels to go to work, burn yourself out at work, if that's what your job is like, or just work if you don't burn yourself out and you like your job, just doing whatever your work is. Because I know there's like many clients who feel burnt out from their job because of the pressure they put on themselves, which is the question I wanted to ask you later. But they put all this pressure on themselves and then they get home, they cook dinner, they look after the house and then they go to bed. It's like, as much as you do not like the idea of then going to the gym and coming home, at first it's not going to be easy to create that. As soon as you keep stacking that I don't want to go, but I'm going to go anyway mindset, you start to realize that you feel so much better for it now. It's just that you needed to shift the way you thought about it. Because if you think about it as a burden, it's going to feel like a burden. But if you start to realize how much it positively impacts your life, how much more energy you have, how stronger you feel in your body, and how much more confident you are in yourself, because now you can be consistent. Boom, blah, blah. So I want to know your perspective on that. And if at any point in time you felt like you had to keep giving into work or giving into something else, that you didn't have time to prioritize yourself.
I never prioritized myself previously, but yeah, it's just something that you just got to do. Like, you know, I think you said once, if you can't do this for a month or 30 days, don't even start. Like, so if you can't go and be on 1200 calories forever, you know, or not even the calories, like if you can't give up carbs forever, don't start, don't do it. That's why keto is not good diet wise, but that's why 7 days a week of training is not going to be sustainable. You got to pick something that you can do forever. I can, like my routine right now, I can do this forever. I can cut back even and still get gains. You know, I don't think people realize once you've got that foundation, it's not hard.
But you can't build that foundation if you're trying to do it in, I have this as a post. I'm going to have to tag you in this post when I put it up. But it's like, you can't expect to try to build a foundation with the mindset of fat loss, because fat loss is not meant to be sustainable. And that's why I love the fact that you brought up that. I actually wrote that down because I completely forgot that I used to ask this question all the time. If you can't do it for 30 days, then don't even bother trying, because if you cannot stick to a deficit as hardly and as intently and giving it literally 100%, like this is where you need to be 100%.
Yeah.
If you can't do that for 30 days, then don't even attempt it. Like you aren't in a position to lose fat. And this is a message that I want to broadcast out there. And I want you to come at it from that position. If I was telling you this back then, I want to know what you would have thought when I said this. And I want to know your honest thoughts, what will go through your mind. Because I say this all the time, and I know that a lot of people struggle with it. So I'm trying to communicate more on your level back then, because I know that it'll click with you now. And I want you to compare the pair. So what I would say is, if you cannot cut your calories, meticulously track your food every single day, plan your food ahead on MyFitnessPal for the week so you don't have to think about it, and stick to that for at least 30 days, then you are not in a place to diet, and that is not the right diet for you. And one thing that sabotages women more than anything, which is probably where you might have, I don't know, I'll let you talk about it, but they try to do just a tiny little deficit, or they're like, I'll do this and then I'll have a diet and then I'll have a cheat meal on the weekend just to help me get through my diet. It's like, you're not serving the purpose. It's like, why would you want to struggle? You mentioned this before as well. I remember you saying, thinking about food all the time, food focused, it's obsessive, your relationships were suffering. Even your husband noticed that your relationship was suffering because you were spending more time at the gym than with him, all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, well, why not get yourself to focus away from dieting, not even think about the fact that you're not dieting, because if your mindset is still on the fact that you need to lean out, you're not ready yet. If you're still thinking about all this fat you have to lose, how much you don't like your body, how much you just can't wait to lean out, and you think you're overeating, and like all of this negative shit chat is not a maintenance phase. That is you trying to eat more calories while wishing you were somewhere else. You need to be where your feet are. And if you cannot do that diet that we spoke about, 30 days, being 100% on it, and you don't even have a clear idea of how you're going to live your life after that 30 days. I'm not saying we're dieting for 4 weeks, but it's like, if you cannot imagine your life after those 30 days, which you never will, if you've never done maintenance, if you've never learned maintenance, which is why you need to learn the maintenance lifestyle first. But if that's the case, then you don't deserve to diet. You need to get yourself understanding maintenance for at least a year. And then we can put you into a diet, because then you'll be able to execute it. You'll see results. And then you'll start sending Ruby random selfies saying, oh my God, Ruby, look at what I see. Tell me more about that. I want to understand, because I know that. So you're listening to me now, and you probably understand it. But if you're listening to it from that frame of mind, I want to know.
I hated it when you said that. I was like, no, I was so adamant, nah, I'm doing this and this and that. I hated it. I hated you telling me that, because all I focused on was getting smaller. You've got all this weight to lose. You need to lose it. But I didn't believe that staying in maintenance would, give me that strength to push hard and do all those things that I wanted to do with my family. I hated it. I didn't want to not diet, but it was exactly what I needed to do. I remember when I first started losing weight, you said to me, right, now you need to stay there. I'm like, okay. Went on a holiday. This was my first ever Queensland holiday as that smaller person. And I just focused on my protein and all of that. But previously I would just be like, yeah, we're on holiday. Let's go eat out there, fried food and all of that. Like I would just want because I wasn't giving myself anything. Like I wasn't enjoying proper food back then.
Because to you, it was either I need to be on these diet calories or nothing. And it's hard. Yeah. This is why the maintenance is so easy, because you knew that you don't have to eat all these things, because once you return to maintenance, and like fucking proper maintenance, not 1,600 calories, like 20, what are we up to?
2,400. I was maintaining my body weight at 2,400. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay. And 3 years ago, there was no way I couldn't even, like, I got up to 2,200, I think, in 2021. And I was up being so sick at nighttime because of my reflux, which, I was like, nah, I can't eat anymore. And my maintenance, my happy place was 1,800. And I'm like, I can't wait till my cruise right now to go back up to 2,400 and live the best life. Whereas back then, anything above 18 was too much. But I did have a lot of reflux issues, really, really bad gut health. So let's touch on that, hey? The whole was huge for me. I loved, and look, I'm not going to lie and say I don't enjoy a drink. I do. I enjoy that social side of things. Earlier this year, I thought about my gut health because it still wasn't in a good place. You know, like I could digest my food and be okay with depending on what I was eating. Like there's days now I know I'll probably have Chinese and struggle a little bit, but not like I used to struggle. No way. But I don't also overeat the Chinese when I go there because I know it's going to be there. I know it's not, you know, not a once in a 6 month kind of meal that I'm going to eat or allow myself to eat type of thing. But I was that person that hated the whole alcohol's a poison, and I still struggle with that. But I'm like, no, let's. So I decided in January that I was not going to drink for 3 whole months to see if that helped my gut. And I'm cranky to say I'm cranky because I'm like, I didn't want it to be the wine that I was having once a week type of thing. And it is that because my gut health has not been this good. I'm off my medication for reflux.
We never actually spoke about alcohol. Like, I think this is the thing as well, where people don't actually account for alcohol calories and they don't even want to mention it. They want to pretend it doesn't exist because they don't want to address the fact that they actually enjoy alcohol, which I think it comes down to the all or nothing. It means that you have to go cold turkey, and you didn't. And the reason I actually wanted to I wrote down that I wanted to talk about this anyway, is because a lot of people are afraid of addressing their alcohol. It's not even alcohol issues, but I'm going to say alcohol issues. But when I say alcohol issues, I mean like you don't have a strategy, but lack of strategy. I'm going to say that your lack of alcohol strategy thing, because it means that now you have to actually face the fact that what you're doing isn't serving you. And I got up to this part in my book right now. I would love to know your thoughts on this passage, because I feel like if you can, I always read things. I might have to start sending you little passages here and there and be like, what do you think of this and relates to you? Because there are so many passages that I'm like, I feel like this can relate to my clients, but I just don't really know how in the context of their life, but I can see some areas. But there's something here that says that most of us don't want to think about more problems. We have enough already. We think that before bad things happen, we'll get a warning, so we'll have time to prepare. Most of us don't want to think that we have a problem to face. We don't want to have our thinking challenged. And we don't want to feel like the way that it's worded was something like, we don't want to think that the way that we're thinking has flaws in it. We don't want to tolerate the fact that our ideas, our ego, our way of knowing things is now flawed because we want to be right. We want to have, like, we've been doing this for years. Why we don't want to have this challenge? Like, no, I'm right. So I want to know what was going through your mind there, because you mentioned that, no, you now said, this is what I tell my, like any of the other clients that have alcohol tenant, like they don't moderate it the way that serves their goals. I'm like, you need to set a strict limit on it. It doesn't mean not having it, but it's like, well, I'll only, because I want to relate this to food as well. I'm only going to have X on X day. Yeah. And you said that with your Friday nights as well. So tell me more about that.
So I did think about it really long and hard because COVID, I was drinking nearly every night. Not writing myself stupid, but enough to give myself this, you're getting sleepy now. I'd go to sleep with, I'd open a bottle of wine. My husband's not a big drinker. Very rarely does he drink. And he, he never judged me or anything for having a glass of wine. When the kids would go to bed, the problem with that was it wasn't just the glass of wine. It was, let's have some tippies, let's have that. So then I'd go to bed with a full stomach. That was, so the two things hand in hand were affecting my gut health. So I said to myself, enjoy it on a Friday night. So I did that for a few months, and I would look forward to it. Like I'd get to Wednesday and I'd be like, 2 more days, I can have my wine or whatever drink of choice, So I would look forward to that Friday night or Saturday night. I think I started Saturday and Friday when I first started looking at alcohol and looking up podcasts about it and things like that. And I was like, okay, all these people must know what they're doing, what they're talking about if they're all saying this, I remember talking to a friend of mine, I'm like, no, because calories should say, try this fasting for gut health. So I did, and it did help me. And I'm grateful that I did fasting. So I used to have a fasting window from like 11 till 6, again, to try to fix my gut health. So one beautiful thing about doing the fasting was I didn't realize that I was craving sugar, not my coffee. I was craving sugar because I'd have 2 sugars in my coffee every day. And I was having 3 or 4 coffees a day like that. And then when I did the black shot of coffee, no sugar, because that you had to have a black to not break your fast. To this day, I don't have any sugar in my coffee. And that was in 2019 that I started that. And even, like I was so against doing that because I'm like, no, but I need my glass of wine.
That sugar part actually, no, that sugar part in particular,
That
because
was
I feel
huge.
like this part I feel is going to help so many women. You have no idea how
Yeah.
much this is going to help women. So there's a really hard thing where we find it really difficult to say, because it's out there, that's unhealthy relationship with food if you completely cut out X from your diet. But sometimes we actually need to cut out particular things from our diet in order to help us. And I see this all the time with sweet food, and I saw it with myself as well. And I'm currently about to merge into my new meal plan, which is going to cut out half of my sweet food, because it's like, as soon as you have something sweet, you're going to keep wanting something sweet. Like, the only thing that I have sweet is I went from having one yogurty dessert to having 3. So now I'm cutting it back down to one yogurty dessert and then my creamy. And they're the only 2 sweet things that I'm going to have. Because as soon as you let a sweet thing in, it's like now you're always having it. And I had a similar issue because I had my gut issues 3 years ago now, and I had to cut out all sweeteners. And because of that, I went from 6 sweeteners in my coffee to only having 2. And now I'm back up to, to only having 1. And now I'm back up to 2. And I want to go back to 1 again. And I think I will once I cut out some of my sweet stuff, because then it's just like, now you always need to meet that palatability. I want to know how much that impacted how you approach your food in general outside of that, because now you realize you don't need to have a party in your mouth all the time.
No, that's exactly right. Everyone thinks that everything's got to be tasty and amazing and whatnot. Like, learn the basics. Like, it's hard to do, but when you start actually focusing on I don't know, like, for instance, my sweet tooth, me and my husband love ice cream. We used to go through a fork, big Peter's tub once a week. If my kids get ice cream once a fortnight now, they're like, this is awesome. But we buy a little 2.5, like the medium-sized tubs, and that lasts us for so long because we don't have it every night like me and Jimmy used to do. But once you start, like, we'll sit there going, okay, we've had ice cream this week. I want to go out for ice cream again. And, like, I know, we will, but then the gut health starts suffering. You start wanting more foods. That's like Mother's Day. We had all this yummy stuff, and then you kind of go, the next day you're like, you either want it again, but at the same time, if you've got goals, you can't. You've got to stick to those little parts that you just look forward to. Almond croissants for me, they're my favorite thing in the world, but they are also 1/3 of my intake at the moment. Even though I'm on 2,000 calories, they're still very, very calorie dense. I never knew how calorie dense almond croissants were. I was like, what? No, shut up.
You wanted to talk about this as well, the tracking food and the fact that you're now standing up for yourself when you go out to eat. So I'll let you talk about that all together. Yeah.
That was really hard at first because, you want to be social. You want to, like, I remember a friend of mine said to me, oh, you're not drinking with me. I'm like, no. I said, look, it doesn't agree with me. Like, I can't suffer for a whole week just to have a couple of drinks. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. So even though I miss the drinking, I'm like, the consequences of doing it they're just not worth it to me anymore. But eating out, like, people aren't going to judge you. Like, I remember on the cruise, actually, you can get somebody to make you a fresh omelette with whatever toppings in it you want, right? You just line up and order it, and the chef cooks it. But when I saw him pour, oh my God, I swear it was like 700 calories of oil. Each time he was making an omelette, I almost had a heart attack. I'm like, what the hell? That's like so much wasted food, chicken and this and that with that. That's a whole meal, So once you learn that, like I didn't know that 1 tablespoon of olive oil or oil is 180 calories or 150, like whatever it is now. But yeah, I'd say to my husband, I'm like, I'm air frying my chicken or my fish, and he'd be like, yeah, you can do that. I'll eat it like this. And then one day he took a piece of fish that was air fried. He didn't even notice that it was the air fried one. And I'm like, did that taste different? And he's like, no. And I went, you just had the air fried one, not the deep fried one. And he's like, no, I didn't. I went, you did. And then when he realized, he was like, oh, okay, we'll do that all the time now. So it makes it hard though with us as a family of 5. So I do still fry some, and then some of it's air fried because we've got a double one. even that, like, it fills it up with, like, half of the fish that I'm cooking, because I've got 3 kids and they eat. They're healthy. 2 boys and a girl. They've all got healthy appetites, but they also don't even frown when we put a plate of veggies in front of them. They don't care. They're so used to. Like, I've been lucky. Like, I haven't had fussy eaters either.
But I feel like a lot of the time we bring up our own fussy eaters by only giving them the palatable stuff that they like. But because you've made this health switch, you've brought them up on healthy habits, and you're actually walking the talk. I feel like, I just from observation, obviously, but I do feel like a lot of women, a lot of mums expect their kids to do things a certain way, but they're not actually showing it themselves. They're not living it themselves. So how do you expect them to act a certain way when you're not even doing it yourself? Whereas now you're doing it, they're actually following you with that. So I love the fact that you're showing that out. And I do feel like I really want to emphasize the calories thing again, because it kind of ties it all together. Because if I told you that whole diet thing ages ago, you would not have, like, what I still want to go back into that. Talk to me a little bit more about that one, because I want to bring that full circle to where you are now, so we can kind of wrap it up with some amazing takeaways for people who were where you were before, who wouldn't want to invest in something that, because I feel like a lot of people feel like it's a waste of money, because a lot of people feel like you're just hiring a coach or buying a program just to lose weight, without realizing how long have you been trying to just lose weight and start things to just lose weight. And you're still where you are right now.
To lose weight. It's to learn the basics. Like, the amount that I've learned through everything, like, it's huge. But you couldn't have told me that 3 years ago, 4 years ago. If I didn't know you, I reckon I would have still been stuck in that cycle of binge restrict, overtrain. I was so stuck in more and more and more, less and less and less, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Like, I'm doing the least now, but back then, if you told me that I'd, be training so much less and be eating so much more, I would not have believed it, because I was so, nah, that's the right way. And that was it. I was just stuck, and even with the kids, like, I know I say I'm blessed and they're very not fussy eaters, but if I gave them a choice of, KFC or chicken at home, they'd choose KFC. Whereas now, like, I make KFC chicken tenders at home with cornflakes, and they're like, this is better than KFC, or roasted potatoes, like, cut up, that they don't even know that I've made them myself instead of hot chips, little things like that. They're not going without. I just want to say that my kids are not, everything clean, but yeah, it's a healthier side of eating. I don't know.
Like, I feel like a lot of women actually fear doing these changes for the fact that you just said. It's like, no, I'm not, like, depriving them. I feel like a lot of mums actually fear making changes because they don't want to be judged for having their kids eat in a certain way that's healthy. But it's like, it's not taking anything away from them. They still have choice. But the thing is, now they actually know what it's like to fuel well, to have energy, to feel good. And it's not like you're restricting them. It's just that you're modeling what a healthy lifestyle looks like. They're taking after you, and everything, like, honestly, I'm saying this to you honestly right now. I'm saying everything that you are honestly doing is the best thing you can do for them. It's never, like, it can never ever be depriving, because you're living it. You're not living in restriction yourself. What was restriction is if you try to model the burn, let's eat little calories and binge eat, like that is more toxic to you. That is toxic to kids. What you're doing now is the best thing you can ever do for them. And it's not like they're going without because they're never eating junk. Yes, I call it junk food, because to me, KFC is junk food. Like, it's so oily and gross. It's like, people can come at me, but to me, it's like literally junk food. I'm not saying don't ever eat it, but it's like you feel gross after it. You feel oily, and it's not until you actually start living the way that you do now that you start to realize how crap certain foods make you feel and how much you can't wait to get better gut health. And if you never made those changes, you would not be able to realize 1,500 calories wasn't my maintenance. Were you even tracking accurately then? It's like, no, you weren't even tracking accurately. It's like, why? That's the thing. People guess. They're like, no, if I eat anything over 1,600 calories, I gain weight. It's like, how do you know 1,600 is even your maintenance? Are you guessing that? Are you tracking that 24/7? And then it's like, what actually is it? So is there anything else?
I never tracked my sauces or oils or anything like that. So those things all add up, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people know that. Mayonnaise, for instance, that's huge. You're not going to just have a serving, once you measure out the actual serving size, I remember on the popcorn, like the pre-packed popcorns with the drizzle of chocolate on top.
Yes.
Oh my God.
You thought I thought once upon a time, so I'm guessing you did as well, that you thought the whole packet was one serving, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, okay, that is 5 servings. I'm like, okay, let's distribute this. And even like, cereal. When do you ever measure cereal? I remember one time I actually measured it and I was like, right, my kids don't even have that as a serving size. So until you learn those basics, and then it's very eye-opening. Even avocado, for instance, I didn't know avocado was so calorie dense. And you chuck on a whole avocado on a certain toasted sandwich, that's just the avocado is 300 grams of calories, 300 calories. So yeah, that's another thing, eating healthy is not just, it's not, you could go and have a burger for the same amount of calories as that salad that you're ordering with all the sauces on top. I didn't realize that. I was like, no, but it's a salad, it's healthy. It's not when you cover it with all those sauces. I'm not saying it's not healthy, but all those little things can add up to 1,000 calories easily.
I would say it's not healthy because if anything is going to put you into a continual surplus over a long period of time and put you into unhealthy body fat ranges and prevent you from actually living your best life, that's when healthy things to that degree is unhealthy just as much as unhealthy things to that degree. So I 100% agree with that. And I feel like a lot of people soft patter around these conversations because they don't want to be seen as someone who's demonizing certain foods these days. Like everyone's become so soft around certain topics, but it's like, no, but that is literally it's not good for you by just overloading yourself with that stuff. I remember, especially, there is nothing more toxic than believing you're doing all the right things, obsessing over the fact that you're not where you want to be yet, and hating on your body, hating on all of these things about yourself because you're delusioned into the fact that you're doing everything right. Like that, I wanted to write a post on this as well, so feel free to feed me anything once this call is over. But I only wrote the first slide. It's most women are scared to eat over 2,000 calories or to stay in maintenance for long enough. But that's not the thing. That's not the worst thing to be afraid of. The worst thing to be afraid of is to be in a fake deficit and thinking that you're doing everything right.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so
If you
true.
have any thoughts on that, let me know, because I literally only have that first slide, but it is literally true. You feared not thinking about a diet for when I said that we need to stop thinking about the scale, toss the scale out, blah, blah, blah. You feared that for so long. Yeah, what made you switch? Long. I forgot that you didn't answer that. What made you make the switch?
When I actually stuck to maintenance, your body's going to stop wanting to stay in a deficit eventually as well. You will notice how tired you are. So you'll end up listening, even if you don't want to, which is what happened to me. I had to get out of the diet phase. And then I noticed how much better I felt, how much stronger I felt, how much happier my life was in general. Like maintenance is beautiful. I can't wait till mid-June when I'm ending this cut and back into maintenance. And I wouldn't be in a cut if it wasn't for the holiday. And I actually don't feel like I need to be in a cut, but just for, I want to be on that holiday and feel my best. That's all. And it's okay to do that. I'm doing it in a healthy way and a positive way. So if at all this diet phase right now, if I start feeling like shit, then I will stop it.
You earned it, to be honest. Yeah. You've earned it now. You've done the work. And what are you dieting on now?
1,500.
And you're not feeling the same way you did before. You're not lethargic. You're still getting in your steps. You're doing everything you need to do.
Yeah. And I'm eating well. Like I'm not like my food doesn't change. The kids don't even know I'm dieting, which is a huge thing for me because I'd be like, no, I'm eating this. And I'd eat completely different meals to them when I was hardcore dieting. And I'm like, that's not life. I don't want them to go, oh, my mum used to, diet and eat just this. Like, I don't want them to be like that. I want them to go, oh, you're dieting? What, really? I do look at my kids' meals sometimes and go, are you fucking kidding me? That's like 1,500 calories, but they're in their teens. They can eat that. I'm also 47. Do you know what I mean? We've got a different calorie alignment and that's okay. But I am jealous of their calories. But, when I was their age, I could eat that too. They're growing up and out. So that's a whole new, topic there. But
that actually is pretty big when you said that though, because you're actually envious of people eating more food now. Like what? Before it was just nah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't realize until you do the actual thing that you don't actually want to go into a diet again because it's so freaking hard. It's just that most people don't actually know what dieting is. Most people don't know what it's like to do the things you need to do hard enough for long enough because no one's actually stuck to a diet, which is why people are forever trying to lose weight. It's like because you've never actually dieted.
If you spend long enough building that muscle, like you've said, muscle, burns more. I never wanted to believe that because I'm like, no, I need to burn the fat first, get rid of the fat first, and then I'll build muscle. And back 20 years ago, which was that scale weight that I was chasing, I don't look like that person. I was just a small size 10 to 12 person. Do you know what I mean? I had no muscle on me. And now I sit there going, oh, no wonder, like I never spent time building muscle back then. So even if I'm lighter now, but I look completely different. Like I look like somebody that lifts weights. It's awesome. It feels good.
I'm going to get you to, can you send me a photo for the cover of this podcast? I'm going to put that photo as the cover of this podcast because I think that'll be really great. Like, this is huge. And yes, it is scary to start with. But once you do the thing, you actually realize how much better you can feel for it. You start to fall in love with lifting again. You start to fall in love with life again because you're starting to actually live it. And then when you do a diet, you've earned it and you're able to see results. Like, you will see Betty is completely different. Like, I'm looking at a completely different face right now. Like, it is, it's lost the cortisol face because it was never cortisol. Yeah. Like, people say that it's got to do with cortisol. It's like, no, it's your lifestyle factors that are leaving you just puffy. It is not cortisol. It's the shit that you're doing because you're avoiding the real work that needs to be done because it's uncomfortable. Betty never had a cortisol issue. It was exactly as you heard of this podcast. It's so easy to blame our hormones because we feel like we're doing everything right. And I'm sure that you thought it was your hormones at one point as well.
I thought it was my metabolism. I thought it was broken. I thought it's definitely broken. I can't be, not losing weight, or I need to eat, back 5-6 years ago, they used to say eat every 2 hours to fix your metabolism. I did that and it still wasn't fixing anything because like your metabolism isn't broken. You might be living just a sedentary life, which is why you're not moving enough. Like I think movement, steps, sleep is huge. Don't be the night owl like I used to be. Like these days I'm in bed at 8:30. I used to stay up till midnight and still be up at 5. And then wonder how I was coping. I can't believe, like back then, and even though I was exhausted waking up, I'd still make myself go do a half-hour session, which inside is nothing. I didn't do anything at the gym. These days I'm actually lifting heavy. That's the key. Like you need to sleep, eat, and repeat.
Sleep. This is actually probably the best thing to end the podcast on because I feel like most people struggle to make even the slightest of changes, and sleep routines or a nighttime routine or even just waking up earlier in the morning, whatever it is that you need to do. People find that sleep routine to be one of the hardest things. What would you tell someone who was old Betty about not only that, but also if there was someone who was on the phone to me as you were to me, and we're having the conversation and they're scared to invest in making changes because any change is going to be difficult when it goes against all and all the fears you had, what would you tell them? Because I feel like they're intertwined.
Start small. Don't go huge. Like you don't need to do it all at once. Like just start habit stacking. That was the hugest thing, start building up. And I'd start, 9:30 would be my bedtime. And soon enough, I was starting to get tired earlier. Back then, if my kids weren't sleeping, I would feel guilty if I was going to bed earlier. Like now, I could go to bed before them. Went to bed last night at 8. Me and my daughter were laying in bed watching TV, and I said to her, I'm getting really tired. And she was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to bed too. I'm like, okay, good night. I rolled over and went to sleep. It's okay to do that. I mean, I know it's different for people with little children, 12 and older, but you just do what you can. Do what you can. You don't have to do it all. Start habit stacking, and then those habits will become your life, like me. Yeah.
It's little by little, a little becomes a lot. Very soon you realize you're a completely different person, and it's not about trying to avoid certain situations happening. It's just a simple reminding you that you're not that person anymore, and you have proof of that. So
Yeah.
I hope anyone listening to this has benefited. And if you want to connect with Betty, reach out to me and I'll hook you up with her. But otherwise, I would love to know your stories. I'd love to know if you resonate with Betty. I want to know if any of this hits you, because I'm very, very certain that Betty would love to know that what she said today has had an impact on you. And if at all she's made you think differently about the hesitations you have in your head. So with that, thank you guys for listening. I would really appreciate if you rated my podcast 5 stars. And maybe if you would like to speak about any of your struggles on this podcast, I might open up the gates to the first people in to jump on the podcast and have a chat. And we can talk about particular things that may resonate with anyone else. Because I'm sure that if you're struggling with it, someone out there is. You are never alone, even though you think you are. Is there anything else that you want to tie off with?
Just listen to Ruby. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Take on, and she cares. Like, you really do care. Like, you saw potential in me before I saw potential in me. I never believed this was possible, ever. It's hard to say that because without being emotional, but one regret, I wish I listened sooner and not took so long overdoing it. Yeah, just get on a call with Ruby.
Honestly, I remember that call and you wanted it so bad. And I do remember you saying that. You mentioned your kids a few times. I don't remember the things you said exactly, but because I remember the kids, I'm like, I know that you have so much potential because you want to be that mum for your kids and you're not right now. You heard this on the podcast with Dal. I don't know whether you listened to the one with Dal yet, but highly recommend you listen to that, because she knew she wanted to do it for her kids, but that wasn't enough. It was figuring out what was keeping her stuck. And that's what you guys need to do today, because you know that you already want this. So what is it that's keeping you stuck? And what is the fear in taking that next step? I love you all, and you will hear me on the next podcast.